Hola bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic. I'm Magic Mel. And this is Owl, my spirit guide. I should be opening this up by saying my daily mantra, I'm Magic Mel, I'm a magnet for miracles, because it's true. What we say and what we believe is our truth, our personal truth. So I'm very careful and discerning with the stories I tell myself. How do I speak to myself? Because my words can either build me up or tear me down. I have the power to do that. Nobody else has the power to do that unless I somehow already believe that to be true. And that's a big one. Our so-called emotional triggers, it's like the external situation pulls the trigger, but who has the ammunition? I'm speaking metaphorically here, guys. You know that. The minefield is already in us. The minefield of unhealed trauma is in us. And because that unhealed trauma emits a certain vibration, and we live in a vibrational universe, we attract the very thing that we emit. We attract the very thing that we are, because we are essentially made up of vibrations. Everything is energy, including and especially us. We gotta kind of open our perspective a little bit more and really encourage ourselves to see the bigger picture. Okay, before I go too off on a tangent, let's stick with the emotional trigger part. Yeah, nothing out there can hurt me unless I already, for example, somebody tells me I'm childish and I feel hurt because of that. That comment can be taken in myriad of ways, numero uno. Number two, if I don't believe that to be true, it's not going to affect me. But if it triggers something, if I feel hurt, that means the mind, the trauma, the belief is actually in me and it's only activated by what has been said. See where I'm going at? We are the creators of our reality. And to get to that realization takes quite a process, unless you're like born enlightened. What does enlightenment even mean anyway? You know, enlightenment is not some state above the clouds, unreachable, like we perceived in the past, that's only accessible to the selected few, i.e. the well-known figures of, Buddha, Jesus, etc. No. What does enlightenment mean? Let's deconstruct it. Enlightenment means to be in the light, which means shedding light on, having our awareness shed light on different things. And if we talk about ourselves, if we are enlightened, it means we are in the light of our own awareness of our own self. And that includes the shadow parts. Meaning our awareness, our consciousness is so bright and so aware that we can see what is in the shadow. And we shed light of our awareness and of our love and of our compassion onto the shadow parts, which we all have. Our ego likes to believe that we are all good, we are without fault, that we never make mistakes, because our ego is really actually quite fragile. It's quite a brat sometimes too. It does serve us, our ego, if we tend to it consciously, but the unconscious ego is a narcissistic, fragile little quirk who's constantly out to defend himself or herself. And wants to believe that, yeah, we're only good, we're only light. That's spiritual bypassing, and that is, what is that toxic positivism, to think that I'm only good? It's not true. To be enlightened means I'm aware enough and I'm loving enough to hold space for all of my aspects. What you see here is, well, it's partially a projection, a reflection, because we are projections and reflections of each other. And it's not random that you are watching this video right here. I lost my train of thought. To be enlightened. Oh, aspects, yes. We're not one-dimensional. We are spiritual beings. Cliche, I know, but it's got to be said. Spiritual beings having a human experience. We come into this 3D to use our sense perceptions and to reclaim our power to create, to manifest, because we are born creators. I mean, we come from the big all. So we carry that seed of creation. Creation is part of our nature in us. So we come here and we're like, whoa, you know, our souls choose to be born into a certain constellation, and we're born, we're like, whoa, what the hell? What am I doing here? Everything is tabula rasa. We forget about everything, who we are, our powers, everything. And we're like tapping ourselves forward and just getting to know who we are and what is possible and how this universe works. So it's quite a process to go back into the light, to come back into awareness. And in that process, we are faced with our shadows. And what lies in the shadow is not necessarily something evil, bad, dark. I'm trying to be very careful with these words because they're so loaded. In my own experience, what lied in my own shadow were these unreclaimed parts of mine, one of them being my own power, was in the shadow. It was rejected because my ego was playing the role of damsel in distress because I had such a fragile sense of self, and out of codependency, I was manipulating people around me to rescue me because I felt I didn't have power. In my shadow is where my power was lying. And what I mean here is that in my subconscious, in my unconscious, I was not conscious of my own power. That's why it was in the shadow. So the shadow is not necessarily bad. Every genius, the passion of every genius, my passion, I mean the drive, the love for what you do, is shadow. It's genius, genio. People call it the demon sometimes, because the demon, if you make it your ally, has a lot of power. I recommend you to sit with your demons, with your shadows, with your rejected parts, with your insecurities, with your fears. Invite them for a cup of tea, be diplomatic. Make some biscuits, festive season's coming up. Invite them for a cup of tea and ask them, what are you going to tell me, guys? I tell them, hey, I hear you shouting from the shadows. Why don't you come here on stage? Come on, have a seat. Come on, don't be all sitting there in the dark. Come on over. It's all good. I'm not going to bite your head off. Although you're threatening to bite my head off. Come here. Don't be so aggressive. Come here. Sit them down for tea and say, okay, what are you going to say? That's shadow work. That's creating space for all of our aspects to be there. And that's how we start the process of reclaiming our shadow. And our emotional triggers are perfect opportunities for that, because under each emotional trigger is a fragmented wound of our soul. That's basically when the trigger is activated, it's like alarm goes off, and telling us, look at it, stop, revise, what's going on here, investigate, be curious. Don't be so fast to judge even your own triggers, your own emotional reactions. Pause. Say, what's going on here? Put on the detective hat. What's going on here? Why did you react like that? I'm talking to myself. I mean, you could put that trigger, emotional trigger. Teal Swan does that. Now she invites parts of herself, of other people, to literally, figuratively come onto stage and speak. What have they got to say? So, emotional trigger, what have you got to tell me? Let's make a concrete example from my recent experience about anger, setting boundaries. Instead of shunning and rejecting my anger, I invited it there and I said, okay, what have you got to tell me? I passed the mic to my anger, had a seat and I said, what have you got to tell me? Welcome. What have you got to tell me? I know you're a messenger. I'm listening. And the anger said, you're allowing a boundary to be trespassed, and I'm here to warn you of that. Why? Because I care for you. Because I am your sacred anger, and I make sure that you are protected, that you protect your sense of self. Thank you for listening. I was like, wow, thank you, anger. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't know that I was allowing someone to test my boundary and that I was devaluing myself. Thank you for being there. That's how we work with our emotional triggers. And this is just one example. I mean, God, how often do we get triggered in life? Well, we're so full of insecurities, and even that's okay. We're human beings, It's fine. All of our triggers are invitations to get to know ourselves better. They're little portals that blink up, blink, blink, and you can either open the door and find a shunned, rejected part of yourself and reclaim it, invite it back in, and hug. In the end, say, hey, I've missed you. I've missed you, power. I've missed you, boundary. I've missed you, anger. Come on over. You're part of me. You're welcome here. Thank you so much for being part of me. That is what empowerment is about. Reclaiming those rejected parts, giving them a voice. How can we expect to have a plurality of voices and stories out there if we don't even give voice to our own internal psychic aspects? Fear, anger, jealousy, they're all valid. What is important to find out is the why. Why is the insecurity there? Why is the fear there? And why is it important? Because it's so vital to know who you are and how you operate. And so you can be self-aware, become self-aware, and communicate that then to others. I mean, in relationships, I'm going to put it now into practices. I'm going to communicate. Close relationships, I don't have, I'm very, very watchful of my space. I was looking at a sticker that I have up here. It says, watch your space. I'm very careful who I let into my energetic space these days because I know how energy works now. But I lost my train of thought. But yeah, I want to know what is underneath the trigger. What wound needs to be held and transmuted with my own self-compassion, my own self-love, with the light and love of my awareness. That is enlightenment. If you remember the story of the Buddha, Maya was trying to seduce him. Maya is essentially the voice of illusion, and which is the voice of fear, the voice of the antagonist, who is also allowed to be there. Because if there was no antagonist, how would we know? If there's no not self, how would we be able to distinguish the self? We need contrast. In any case, story of the Buddha, final moments before his enlightenment, sat down underneath the Bodhi tree. He didn't fall asleep. He was meditating. And Maya was like shooting arrows, like seduction with women, with money, with fame, with whatever. It's all the ego's voices of fear and, seduction, temptation. And one of the last attempts of Maya was whisper in the Buddha's ear. Self-doubt, the voice of self-doubt is like, you're not worthy. Who are you to be enlightened? And the Buddha touched the ground and closed his eyes. And he connected to his core and the source of the entire universe. And he said, looked Maya in the face and he said, I am worthy. I am the Buddha. I can see you for what you are. You are an illusion. The light of my awareness is strong enough to dissolve you. Siddhartha became the Buddha. And this story is just an example of a mythical transformation that we all can go through. Why do you think we're so attracted by stories and myths? You know, Star Wars, the never-ending story, I don't know, Superman. Because we see enacted the archetype of our own hero, the potential that everyone, you and me included, have to be the heroes of our own lives. The alchemist, Paulo Coelho, I know you're gonna roll your eyes, but hey, goes around, he's a shepherd. Universe calls out, because we all have a calling, calls out, and he does this epic journey, finds the love of his life in the desert, but always puts himself first, talks with his heart, only to find in the end that he's the alchemist of everything, that he has contact with the elementals, with all the powers of the universe. He can speak to the wind, speak to the desert, speak to his own heart first and foremost, and that the treasure was always under his feet. So metaphorically in the story, what's his name? Santiago goes back to where he came from, his hometown, and digs up in the story it's a physical treasure, but metaphorically, we carry the treasure inside, and we are on this hero's journey. You are the dude from the good guy from Star Wars, You are Bastian from the Neverending Story, die unendliche Geschichte, Leute. Hey, schaut's euch an. Oder liest das Buch besser. Michael Ende, the book. Nosotros somos los héroes que buscamos, que proyectamos hacia afuera. Tú eres tu propio héroe o heroína. Yo hablo aquí no estamos hablando aquí de género ni de sexo ni nada de eso. ¿Vale? Cada uno de nosotros tiene ese potencial de ser nuestro propio héroe, heroína. We are the heroes of our own story. The Buddha realized that enlightenment was not out there, it was within him, that he was worthy of it. I'm really refining my process these days with everything because I want to be integral. I want to stand in my integrity, in my coherence. And I'm filtering, I'm purging material things out of my life. I only want that in my space that reflects what I feel, reflects my essence. And I'm refining Mel's magic also, because I'm not here to give any more performance or anything. I mean, the tarot cards are cool and I love them. I have a huge passion for them. But I keep on asking myself, what is the essence of what I'm doing here? And yeah, it's been a process. 1 year of making 96 videos. And each video is a moment in time and shows one step ahead, one step of my evolution. And every step was necessary. We have this tendency to jump towards the end goal, and we think that, if only I was at my goal, everything would be fine. That's nonsense. This is an ongoing, ever-flowing stream of creation. It's never going to be done. And the universe uses our heart to voice what we perceive as our desires so we can manifest them. So creation continues. There's nothing stopping us apart from ourselves, really. We are our numero uno best sabotageur. Bon, je sais pas comment dire. Because in a way, it also feels safer to be in the shadow, no? We feel safe holding hands in the shadow. And our heart and the universe is calling out, come on, you can do it. Stand in your light. Speak your truth. And we're like, oh, no, I can't. I'm scared. It's fine. I have compassion with myself. I used to be like that. But nowadays, part of my refinement here is I'm not holding myself back anymore. I'm not playing small anymore. I'm going to shine my light like a lighthouse, if need be first, through these videos into the world, because I recognize my light. And I use the light of my awareness to shed light onto my own fears and insecurities and realize, see them for what they are, illusions. And I check with my true self and I say, does this really, my core, my essence, does this really Do you need this? Does this serve you, this limiting belief? And the limiting belief says, yes, it did in the past, because we were just ensuring your survival. And I say, thank you. I know you were part of my survival mechanism. I'm grateful you were there. But we've evolved now. And to be honest, you're a little bit standing in the way now and being a little bit of a brat. So you're still allowed to join my soul's journey, but take a backseat, please. Plenty of space there, but not at the driving steering wheel. And then I give them a biscuit and off they go into the back and have a seat. And I say, "Oi, fasten your seatbelt." Because we're on a soul's journey here, on a big mission. It's going to be one hell of a ride. And I want my soul to drive. Because this vessel, this vehicle, is a tool for our souls to operate in the 3D. But the question is, are you allowing your soul to drive? Or are you keeping yourself small and silent because your ego is still running the show and saying it's not safe to be our true selves, no one's going to understand us, you're going to be rejected? I understand, fine, but I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore in the sense that I do not need someone else's validation to validate my worth, my own self-worth. I'm not going to stay quiet to please or appease someone else anymore. Or to feed into some meta-narrative that I do not agree with. No. One life, one precious life, huge gift for self-discovery. And soul evolution, spiritual evolution. Because I'm telling you one thing, this journey ain't ending once we lie on our deathbed. If ever, that's when things really start rocketing. Because it's not, it's ongoing. While we're here, let's make the best of it. Bring out our gifts. Allow ourselves, because there's no oppressor out there. Get rid of our Stockholm syndrome. Allow ourselves to shine. Because I tell you one thing, the world needs your gift. And we all have them. We all have beautiful talents, usually more than one. The world needs your gift, your light, your voice, your beauty. In whatever way feels natural to you. Whether it's gardening or it doesn't matter what it is. Bus driver. Everyone has his purpose in this beautiful world. What matters is how it feels for you inside. Your job, do you feel passionate about? How do you feel? We need to connect to our feelings. We need to be courageous enough to feel our feelings and to listen to our hearts. And usually the process is that before we even listen to our heart's desires, we have to listen to our pain. Because we're all suffering until we reach the intersection and the point where we can see that we're actually able to choose. That we can liberate ourselves from our suffering. And get off the karmic wheel and start our dharma, our purpose. It's healing for me to express myself like this. Using our voice is healing. Our chest, our lungs, this entire system is a tool, it's an instrument. Your voice is an instrument. It's healing for me to express myself, to connect with you like this. I can even go so far as to say I'm doing this out of selfish reasons. And selfish in the highest expression of what that word means. Selfish in the sense that it makes me feel attuned to my true self. I feel I'm expressing my soul here, using my voice. Yeah, gotta be more selfish sometimes. And selfish does not mean hurting others voluntarily or controlling or oppressing others. It's the wrong kind of selfish. I mean, be selfish about your joy. What brings you joy? Protect space, time, energy around what creates joy for you. You are in charge. I'm telling you, joy is the frequency of heaven. And joy is the frequency upon which the new earth will be built, or is being built, not in the future, right here, right now. Because I'm telling you, heaven is right, is much closer than what we think. We always put things into the future, off into the future. The great prayer, Our Father, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Thy, the divine will. I surrender to the divine will so as to flow through me, so as to be a vehicle, a tool, a vessel for co-creation. Because I'm ready for something new. I'm tired of the old paradigm of lack, of fear, of oppression. I'm deciding right here and right now to be part of the new paradigm of love, of abundance, of sovereignty. Because there's no better time than right here and right now. This is where my power lies. I'm gonna leave it at here, guys. I'm gonna make myself some lunch. Do we need an oracle card? No, if I'm gonna pull one now, it's gonna be a long video. Pull one next time, yeah? I am your oracle. I am. I'm Magic Mel. I'm a magnet for miracles. I'm a visual artist, oracle, and alchemist of the new earth. You know where my like button is, where my subscribe button is, where my donate button is. I'm not gonna convince you or push you around anymore. You have a choice. Something resonates, you know what to do. And I'm so thankful that you're here. You matter, I matter, we matter. Our voice matters. Okay? Remember, Magic Mel's got your back, together with Owl. And we are warriors of love. We are strong, we are resilient, we are empowered. And we serve the light. And we're going to have one hell of a good time doing it. Yeah? We're not sacrificing ourselves. We're tending to our own joy. And by tending to our own joy, we are immediately and automatically and consequently serving the light. Because we are the light. Infinite blessings and gratitude. And stay tuned. Because we're going to have plenty more episodes rolling in. Ciao, bandidos. Ciao.